Hey everybody, Jacob here with Ground Zero, and I am welcoming you to the third episode of the thing I never wanted to do, the 0 Hour Podcast. What are we talking about in this show? Well, it all boils down to the fact that we are fresh off the heels of SEMA 2025 and kind of the atmosphere of that show. So, what is it that we have all got to experience? What is it that we got to show? And what is it that we got to really kind of feel? And for me, that's a big thing. You know, this is a worldwide trade show that brings kind of everybody up front and up forward to the table and have some cool conversations, demo some cool cars, and really talk about what we're trying to accomplish. So, in this episode, we're going to see a new face to the podcast. We're going to see a longtime friend of the podcast, all 3 episodes so far to date, and we're going to discuss demo cars. We're going to discuss a new product, and we're going to discuss the overall kind of environment that SEMA was. Join us back here in a few for a recap of the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast, and now you are seeing a new face to the show, Mr. Rob Reilly. Oh, maybe he's that, I don't know. Nick's over here throwing me off. But and then our old friend Nick Wingate, and by old I mean old. So, guys, SEMA. This year felt a little different to me. Not just the show. I mean, obviously, first couple of setup days, super quiet, but all of a sudden the show kicked off. But obviously, we have a new face that came to the show. But Rob, past couple of years you've been with us. How did this experience differ? Because I know it did. What were you feeling on this SEMA?
I mean, I didn't search out the other halls, but in the North Hall, I felt like there was a lot of energy, a lot of positive energy. Crowd was good, but I don't know. It felt very energized. I really I like that.
See, that's awesome. And now energy, because of the booths we were surrounded by, transferring energy. But Nick, first time on the floor in quite a while. What did you feel about this show? I mean, obviously you spent most of it in a very particular demo car that we will be talking about a little later. But what did you feel about this show?
I reiterate exactly what Rob said. There was a tremendous amount of energy on the floor. I got the feeling that there were, how do I want to describe it? It was not a down feeling. It was an uplifting feeling. Everybody was there to literally, number one, have a good time, but they were also looking for something to either invigorate them or reinvigorate them or to make them want to buy it is what I was getting. Is like there was people looking to pick up new lines even. So that was interesting to me because, like I said, I had been on the SEMA floor in 10 years, but even from that point to this point, this felt different. It really did.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the term invigorate or reinvigorate, because it's something I've noticed in you, that being on the show floor, being around the crowds, being around all of this stuff, I think has like re-energized you a bit. I mean, what is your take on I don't want to say the shift, right? But being able to get out there and talk about product, talk about demo cars to people that might not have ever cared about car audio or what we've seen in the hot rod industry. You know, we've seen a lot more transition. What are you feeling about that too, in addition to not just, a happy show floor?
Well, I think when it comes to the hot rod folks, we have to look at one, the demographic. These are the folks that are, let's face it, my age, a little bit younger, a little bit older, and we grew up, we invented car audio, and they're at the point now in their lives where they want it back. They remember growing up with, I mean, let's face it, we grew up with the 6x9s in the back deck and the tweeters in the top of the dash, and we thought we were the coolest thing since, sliced bread. But now when they're spending two, three, $400,000 on a show car, they're putting stereos in it. And basically it's because it reminds them of what they had when they were kids, and growing up. And hey, more power to them. That's fantastic. And I think it's going to be a boom to our industry.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we've seen a big shift in lately. The acceptance, I guess, of either high end car audio or even just car audio in general when it comes to some of these builds. How many 69 Chargers have we seen built that are $250,000 with the cheapest head unit in place and some speakers in the rear deck, and that's it. That for a long time was the standard of car audio and hot rods. Rob, you've done, obviously hot rod builds for a long time. You've done high-end builds for a long time. What did you like? Have you noticed this trend kind of helping our industry grow at all?
Oh, absolutely. I was actually going to hit on that with what Nick was saying. I talked to a lot of builders. I demoed to a lot of builders, and it was neat to see the kind of a change. They're more excited for audio as a part of that experience of what they're building for their clients now. It's not an afterthought, and it's becoming a little more prevalent. And I think that shift is definitely going to be really good for our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the other cool thing too is being, the brand that we are. Look at some of the cars that were at the show that had our product in it that weren't necessarily in our booth, right? So there was that Impala, that hydrogen-powered Impala that was a full Ground Zero build, if I remember correctly. There was a couple trucks outside built by 360 Automotive that were absolutely high-end SPL loud fun that were all Ground Zero, and then not to mention the stuff that we took, which was far different than both of those. So
Right.
Yeah, I definitely feel what you guys are saying with regard to how is this affecting us, which is obviously beneficial because I want to keep my job. But being able to just sit back and look at cool cars that have cool stereos in them is not something that we've really gotten to do as of late when it comes to that market. So what else did you guys notice? Rob, I'll start with you in this show. You had mentioned talking to builders about high-end cars. What are some other points that you kind of felt were different this year than years past, where we just kind of go and we've got cars and people walk through and that's about it?
I don't know. Pretty much the same thing. It's the energy was good because the builders are interested. The younger generation was more interested in higher end instead of just loud. And I think that's a little bit of a change. They're coming in and quality is starting to matter instead of just sheer volume. Not that the volume desire for volume has left. There's still a ton of that, they still want that volume. They still want to be heard. They still want the bass. They still want all of those things. But now they care more about quality, detail, and they're realizing there's a difference between just being loud and being loud and clear and being accurate to the music. You can be loud, you can be clear, but it still doesn't mean it's correct. And a lot of them care about correct now. And I think that's another change.
Yeah, that's definitely something that Nick has talked about in the past whether we're sitting in on a training or something along those lines, or even in I think previous episodes of the podcast, we've actually mentioned that car audio is not just perceived as how loud it is going down the road annoying the neighbors at 12 o'clock at night. It's a far different environment now, and that's kind of what this show had the opportunity to demonstrate for us. Is the two cars that we took are definitely different than, like you said, straight volume, straight loud, glass shattering, knock the dishes off the wall type audio that people still associate, car audio with. And that's really going to kind of foreshadow what we're talking about in this episode. The two demo cars that we took are absolutely going to be critical, I think, to this conversation, and really allow us to shift from just a SEMA recap to this thought process of high-end builds and where we have come in that atmosphere. Plus, we got to show something pretty cool at SEMA this year, and I'm excited to get Nick's feedback on this because somebody's been listening to something for like the last 36 hours straight. So when we come back, we will talk about demo cars. We will talk about cool things on wheels, and we'll see where that puts us. See you soon. I really hate unscripted things because see you soon was about the dumbest line I could have ever said. But we're back. and we're back with Rob and Nick talking about demo cars. Now, we took, I think, something a little different this year to a car show, and that was a car that recreated more of an environment of high-end home 2 channel, which is right up Nick's alley. It's what he lives for. Nick, can you tell me about Chris Pate's 95 Chevy Tahoe? Can you run through the system real quick and what the goal of this truck was to accomplish?
Well, it was a complete, as far as the speakers were concerned, the front stage was complete ultra. And it had, if I remember correctly, a nuclear 8-inch bass driver subwoofer up front.
Uranium.
And it was uranium. Okay. And a 1 cubic foot enclosure, if I remember correctly. It was in the dash. And then it had four plutonium tins and had four rather impressive large reference amplifiers in the back of the car. Yeah, and of course, and we had this incredible DSP processor sitting in the car to go with it. And the theme that Chris wanted to keep in the car was to keep it basically as 1995 as he could. So he didn't build some elaborate, modern day A-pillar, 3.5 inch tweeter up there, 6.5 in the cake panel, things like that. No, the tweeters on the top of the dash, the mid range was on the top of the door, the 6.5 mid bass was in the bottom of the door. And the first time I saw it, I thought, I'm not sure this is going to work or not. By the time we got through tuning it, I was like, yep, we're going to scare some people. This is ridiculously good. It is one of the most emotionally involving cars I have ever sat in. And that's saying something. um, Not since somebody's white Thunderbird back in the 90s that won multiple world champions in Alaska has brought that kind of feeling out, me listening to music. And it really didn't matter what I threw at it. It played it so well. It was ridiculous. Um, I played classical music. We played jazz. We played rhythm and blues. We played rock. We played rap. We played hip hop. We even played some opera. And the common theme was, this is absolutely amazing. Nobody believed this car was going to sound the way it does because of drive replacement, but it did. It was absolutely amazing.
Well, and that's one of the things that I experienced when I heard Ultra, and Rob was there with me. When we listened to Ultra the first time in a home environment, it was, this is emotional. There's something different. There's something cool.
Mm-hmm.
There is something going on here. And to be able to finally experience that in a car, I've been in this industry 20 plus years. That was really the first time I've ever been able to say, this is an experience more like what I got to experience when playing on stage with, band or
Yeah.
the chills down your neck. Okay, so this is what we're chasing. This is finally what we're supposed to be doing. So it's awesome to know that really what we all chase is actually possible. Now, the other car. So we went from high-end home 2 channel in a car to an absolutely beautiful 2023 Acura TLX PMC edition. Rob, is that what they
I
brought?
believe
Jesse
so.
Meredith brought?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So Drive Customs in San Luis Obispo, California, built us a personal car to them. It's one of it's Meredith's daily driver, but the setup was pretty cool because, to me, again, it was different than what we see everybody doing. It wasn't over the top fab. It wasn't, I mean, don't get me wrong, the trunk was absolutely beautiful. But Rob, can you tell us a little bit about what that Acura kind of brought to the table at the show?
Well, I mean, to summarize the build, it's fairly simple. It's very common car audio. It's three-way nuclear front stage, a couple of 12s in a ported enclosure, the uranium series. Um, it allows for something that's attainable. It's something that everybody listens to, everybody drives. These are normal build stock locations. I mean, all stock locations. That's, mids buried behind a door handle and a door. That's, you're fighting the environment already, and yet everyone got out and said, "Whoa, I thought this was a daily driver build. Why does it sound like an SQ car? Because it sounds like an SQ car, which is just wild to get out of that car in stock locations. You just don't see that very often. So I was pleasantly surprised with all the demos. It's one of those I didn't think it was going to be as accurate and as good and as detailed as it was, and it just turned out amazing.
Yeah, one of the things I loved about being able to demo it, even from the passenger seat, was I would let somebody sit in the driver's seat and go, look, volume all the way up, you're not going to break it. And you watch them just go, wait, what? I have control over volume, and you're telling me that I'm not going to hurt this? No, absolutely not. This is built to get in, put your phone on shuffle, no matter what comes on, crank the volume, have fun, and experience just music in, like you said, what, OEM locations. I mean, having a 6.3 tweet, stock locations with no crazy fabrication. Again, I'm not trying to diminish the work that Jesse did, but I mean, even just the tweeter mount was the stock, tweeter grill reworked. It wasn't, as Nick said, crazy custom pillars and what everybody does. That car was super cool to me because it's something that I would not hesitate to get in and drive every day. So they're the two cars in a nutshell. But Rob, I want to ask you something because I know you listen to the Tahoe. Tell me about your impression of Violet.
I didn't get to listen to it for the first couple days. I think it was day 3, but by the time I finally listened to it, and like I told the guys before, I didn't want to like it. It's somewhat unattainable, for some people. I personally had a 2-door Tahoe, so it's kind of hits me in the heart. And then I locked up and I looked at the locations for days, thinking, I don't know about these locations. So, I didn't expect it to be emotional. And like Nick said, it's an emotional experience. I'm a believer in tuning, processing, do all you can with microphones, graphs, whatnot. I'm very technical, but there's things that the graphs and charts just don't show you. And sometimes you're sitting back and you listen. I had them play, I think it was Disturbed, Sound of Silence. It's one of those songs. Bam, by the second verse, I was, eyes closed. You don't want all the distractions, people walking by and everything, because we're in a live show when I'm experiencing this. And man, that just started feeling a little teary up inside. I'm like, okay, hold up. I got to open my eyes, get out of the zone for a minute, because this is too real. And that is phenomenal. I've only had that maybe 5 times, and this was one of them, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Good job, Nick.
Right. Yep. Good job, Nick. Good job, Jeffrey. Good job, Chris and the team. When I was talking to Chris and I'm like, here's where we want speakers, he went, nope, not going to happen. Can't do it. And I kind of went, well, give me the best you got. And as Nick said, keeping in style with that custom interior thought process that he's becoming known for, and just allowing the product to do what it does, I think is a home run in that.
Absolutely.
And I think this year we got to take some cool stuff to the show, and it really excited me. Not to say that we haven't before, but between those two and the trike that Cody at Vu built, just motorcycles aren't supposed to sound good. And that thing is absolutely incredible. So fun to listen to.
It's amazing.
It's crazy when even Nick goes, man, that doesn't suck.
No. No.
So yeah, it's absolutely
compared to what we were listening to across the road. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Shots fired. But that's
Truth
the thing.
Hurts.
Demo cars are fun, and it brings a lot to the table. But when we come back, I'm going to pick Nick's brain about something that he's been, like I said, doing for the last roughly 36 hours. I think it's going to be kind of an enlightening moment for Rob too, because we haven't had this conversation with him yet. But when we come back, we will discuss Ground Zero's new reference line of speakers. So if you've been paying attention to Ground Zero for the past, almost 2 years, when we talk about high end, we talk about ultra, and how, as you've heard in this conversation, ultra is super emotion invoking and is absolutely built for that pure home thought process in a vehicle. Where we are talking, there is ridiculous amounts of custom fab required. There is ridiculous amounts of tuning the room, so to speak. You can't just, you can, but I wouldn't just slap them in stock locations and call it a day. But what happens when that's not necessarily your customer? Ground Zero has always been known for their reference line as well. And we got to show the brand new reference line. The problem that I didn't know was going to happen was that Nick was going to steal them, take them home off the displays, and decide to play with them for the last 2 days. Well, at least I know where they are, Nick. So you stole them temporarily. But here's the thing, Nick, you've been playing with them. You understand the technology.
Yep.
What have you been experiencing? And you can break it down by driver. You can break it down by overall experience. If I say you've got 10 minutes, sell me these speakers. What are you going to
Well, just an overall experience is that, with the exception of Ultra, and that's about it. Like I said, I've been playing with them for a couple of days, and they are exceeding my expectations. I was not expecting them to do what they do. The overall presentation is probably 85%, maybe 90% of Ultra. It has that emotional involvement to it. It throws a huge soundstage. The depth, the width, the height is just it's amazing. The mid range is about as clean of a mid range as I've heard outside of Ultra. I've got several mid ranges here. I'm not going to tell you whose they are, but they are stupid expensive. And this mid range exceeds both of them. The mid bass driver hangs with my reference, which is about $1,000 for the reference that I'm used to. The bass response in this is amazing. The lower mid range to upper bass in this, if you want to use it as a two-way, you can, because of the tweeter. This tweeter is amazing. And that's the only way I can describe this. It is truly amazing. I literally thought, okay, I hooked it up last night and put a very simple 60B per octave crossover network on it, just a big capacitor to let it play. And I'm sitting there listening to it, and the vocals that are coming out of it, I'm just floored. So this morning, I went outside and pulled the tweeters out of my SUV, and I put these in with a reference 6.5 that I have. And I am going to tell you, folks, it works. It is really something to listen to. Dynamics, I'm kind of taken aback. There's only one metal dome tweeter that I've ever heard in my life sound like this, and it's built by somebody by the name of Wilson Audio in Utah. And if you know who that is, you know what I'm talking about. These tweeters are right there with something that I would expect Wilson to build and put in their home cabinets. It is that good. They are dynamic. They are clean. They are amazing in how they can reveal instruments, such as a harp, or such as you're listening to somebody play trumpet, and I hear the air coming out of the bell of the trumpet. And I thought, that's got to be the tweeter. And I would turn the tweeter off and I would go listen to the mid bass driver Bass Lonesome. And yeah, no, it has nothing to do with the mid bass or the mid range. It is that tweeter. It is that good. And when you throw all three of these together, which I did last night, yeah, this is a winner. It is going to turn heads. There is no doubt about it. And, talking with the guys from Ground Zero that were at the show, yeah, this was designed like OEM locations. Let's go. So we need these here like yesterday. They need to hurry up and get here.
Well, believe me, we are working on it. Now, Nick,
No, you are.
I've got a
Still.
question. What's in your right hand? Now, what is that?
This is the mid range, as you can tell. As you can see, it's not very deep. Very, very extremely well made. You can see that there's the aesthetics of it. Yes, it is amazing. It looks like jewelry, but there's reasons behind all of this, and I don't want to go into great detail, but there's a tremendous amount of cooling involved in this with this neodymium magnet structure. There's a, as you can see, the vented pole piece. It has a very, very unique, and I'm going to get really close to the camera so you can see there's a difference in the way that this cone looks. It is a diamond faceted cone that the way that this geometry is, it basically breaks up any standing waves that this cone will create in any way, shape, or form. And I can tell you, this is a cone that comes from a home manufacturer in Germany that the folks at Ground Zero have licensed. And that you can hear it. There is some serious, serious technology involved in these drivers. And it's very unique, it's very different. And when you hear them, you're gonna, excuse me, you're gonna understand. This is the next level. And at this price point, yeah, I haven't heard anything at it like this anywhere. Period.
That is what I like to hear. I know for a fact the tweeters, I think, they're still in your dash. So
Yep.
you won't get to hold one of those up, but they will be, well, pictures are available. I mean, anybody
Yeah.
who can search the Ground Zero site is going to see pictures from the show. And that excites me. This is a set of speakers that I think is different than anything Ground Zero has done before. And
The tweeter certainly is.
right now, Rob, obviously there are some aspects of these drivers that look familiar. I know you haven't had a chance to necessarily listen to them, but what is your, understanding is that the mid base? Oh, there's the
Yeah,
mid base.
that's the mid base.
That shows the cone way better. You've got experience with the little brothers of both little brothers to this set of speakers. And I think you've talked to Nick enough about the thought process of the cone. What are you looking forward to, not only with the technology, but, kind of bridging the gap between your beloved plutoniums and the ultras that made you cry?
You gotta be like that, all right.
I got to be like
So,
that.
so I'm excited. I've worked with nuclear and plutonium quite a bit, and those being all kind of sister lines, I guess. Kevlar fleece on one hand, aluminum on the other, ceramic coated, all that great stuff. But having this new cone, and the supporting architecture behind it, the spider, the former, those are all going to be different. So there's going to be a lot of support structure that's going to completely change the tonality and the presence of this set of drivers. I'm
Mhm.
excited. They're still utilizing the same hybrid motor structure that carries in the other two lines, and they're just kicking up the rest of it to the next level. So I'm dying to hear them. It's not fair, but I'll accept it because I know my time is coming. But
Oh yeah.
I can't wait because I know the foundation is so strong with the other products
Yeah.
that putting this icing on the cake has got to just be next level.
Yep. And knowing that that's kind of what you're looking forward to is exciting because again, we've upset some industry with things that you've built, things that you've shown, and being able to say that this is the next step, this is the next upgrade, this is the next logical thought process is exciting. That being said, we will be right back. So apparently, we will not be right back. I will be right back. I would like to thank Nick Wingate and Rob Reilly, or Robert Reilly as he loves to be called, for joining me on this, because these are two guys that I absolutely look up to when it comes to overall builds, presence, and ideology behind technology. So it's really great to be able to pick their brains because these are two guys that are way smarter than I am. To recap, what did SEMA allow us to do? SEMA allowed us to bring some absolutely wicked cars to the show to show off a lot of what we do and a lot of what gets us excited. So to find out more about Violet and Jesse and Meredith's Acura, feel free to follow us on social media. You'll see a lot of posts on Facebook, Ground Zero USA, and be able to really kind of get a better idea of what we were talking about when we were discussing these overall builds. But it also gave us an opportunity to release a new product. And that new product is, for me, going to be absolutely a phenomenal step in the right direction when it comes to high-end builds, high-end audio, and, appeal to a wider, I think, variety of people than necessarily jumping up into ultra. So it's really cool to be able to bring that to market. For more information, groundzerousa.com has pretty much everything you need as soon as that new release gets launched on there. So keep your eyes open. Join us on the next one of these things that I don't really want to do on December 18th, where we are going to dive into pro audio and our kind of version of what pro audio means to Ground Zero. So follow us on that thing that is the YouTube that I can't believe I have to say out loud, Ground Zero USA. And until then, until next month, have a good one.